recognized symbol of excellence in sports entertainment.
Gotmark76 this week, 1990.
Flair and Sting in the ring where there's Tully and Arn attacking Sting and Flair. Tully going after Flair, Arn after Sting. Wyndham and Luger have gone to the dressing room fighting in the back, but fans were out of time. Is Barry Windham the fourth member of the Horsemen? And welcome to this week's edition of Gotmark76 This Week 1990. We're beginning things off today with a tag team tornado match as the Rock and Roll Express take on the fabulous Freebirds, all four men in the ring at the same time. And as you saw at the top of the hour, Barry Windham has returned to World Championship Wrestling. He has aligned himself with Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson and Ole Anderson, and he was the fourth member of the Horsemen. And of course, we have big news coming up tonight. A pay-per-view coming your way in the month of May. A huge main event tonight, as the World Television Champion Arn Anderson defends his television title against former champion, the man he beat for the title back in January, the Great Muta. So a big show lined up for you today, as Ricky and Robert goes for the cover on Hayes, and Hayes kicks out at one. Morton stomping away on the arm of Jimmy Garvin, and Michael Hayes fighting back against Robert Gibson as Morton drops a fist. Hayes drops a leg, and a beautiful drop kick by Ricky Morton takes down Jimmy Garvin, drops the elbow. Gibson now staying on top of Michael Hayes as Morton setting up Jimmy Garvin. What's he have in mind? A kick and a DDT! Down to the mat goes Garvin. Morton's going to go for the cover. Gibson takes out Hayes. 1, 2, and 3. And your winners, Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express. Here are some highlights from earlier in the contest. A back and forth match full of action. I mean, it was only a few minutes long, but the action was fast-paced and hard-hitting. And Morton gets the DDT on Jimmy Garvin and pins Garvin as Robert Gibson indisposes Michael Hayes. Beautiful maneuver on the part of Gibson to allow Ricky Morton to get the pinfall. Tully Blanchard is in action next as he takes on Ranger Ross, but before that, Gordon Solie with a special Wrestling News Network. Don't go away, we'll be right back after this quick timeout.
Welcome to the Wrestling News Network. I'm your host, Gordon Solie. We are 3 weeks away from the next major pay-per-view event, Capital Combat 90, the return of RoboCop. The main event has been signed and will be a tag team war between the two groups of horsemen, as the original Horsemen members Arn Anderson and Tully Blanchard take on Nature Boy Ric Flair and World Heavyweight Champion Sting. The winners of this match will own the rights to the Four Horsemen name. This match has been brewing for months, and it will all come to a head at Capital Combat. Also, on that big pay-per-view event, the United States title will be on the line as Lex Luger, the U.S. Heavyweight Champion, challenges Barry Windham. It is unprecedented that the champion make the challenge to his opponent, but it shows just how badly Lex Luger wants to get his hands on Barry Windham. Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express, will challenge Doom, Butch Reed and Ron Simmons, for the NWA World Tag Team Championship. Flying Brian and the Z-Man will defend their United States Tag Team Championship against Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan, the Midnight Express. Their manager, Jim Cornette, has been banned from ringside. Dr. Death, Steve Williams, will take on Dangerous Dan Spivey, who recently returned from a tour of Japan. Speaking of Japan, the Pearl of the Orient, the Great Muta, will also be in action as he takes on Ole Anderson. All this, plus Sullivan's Slaughterhouse, Mean Mark, Captain Mike Rotunda, and much, much more. It's Capital Combat 90, the return of RoboCop, May 18th, here on the Gotmark76 YouTube channel. Until next time, I'm Gordon Solie.
And welcome back to World Championship Wrestling, and take a look at who is in Tully Blanchard's corner. Ole Anderson and newest member, the fourth member of the original Horsemen, Barry Windham, in the corner of Tully Blanchard. Of course, it was last week when Barry Windham made his presence felt, having words with the total package Lex Luger. After Luger's match with Sting for the world title, Luger attacked Windham. So whatever Barry said to Luger must have set Luger off. And as we just heard from Gordon Solie at the Wrestling News Network, Lex Luger, the U.S. Heavyweight Champion, has challenged Barry Windham to a U.S. title match. That match will take place on May 18th at Capital Combat 90, the return of RoboCop. And Tully Blanchard will be in action at Capital Combat as well. He will be teaming with AA Arn Anderson, and they will be taking on Nature Boy Ric Flair and the World Heavyweight Champion Sting. The winner of that tag team match will own the rights to the Four Horsemen name. As Tully going to work on Ranger Ross. Ranger Ross trying to make a comeback. Kicks Tully off. And a knee to the back by Ranger Ross. Do not take Ranger Ross lightly. And a reversal by Tully. Up and over goes Ross. And a snapmare back into the ring goes Ranger Ross. So Capital Combat 90 coming your way here on the Gotmark76 YouTube channel on May 18th. Huge matches have been signed. Of course, we just mentioned the big tag team match for the Four Horsemen name. Lex Luger defending the U.S. title against Barry Windham. But also a tag team match for the World Tag Team Championship as Doom defend against Ricky and Robert, the Rock and Roll Express. We saw the Rock and Roll Express earlier tonight with a victory over the fabulous Freebirds. And of course, also at ringside here, Ole Anderson, a member of the original Horsemen, for now. And of course, that could be if Sting and Ric Flair win the match at Capital Combat, they will no longer be the Horsemen. As Tully with a pile driver goes for the cover on Ross. 1, 2, and the kick out by Ranger Ross. But Ole Anderson will also be in action at Capital Combat 90 as he takes on the Great Muta. Ranger Ross trying to make a comeback, but Tully chops a big right hand into the ropes and a punch to the gut, and that will stop anybody. So Woman has gotten her way. Woman has the Four Horsemen. Will she still have the Four Horsemen after Capital Combat? Will they be the Four Horsemen? And a big clothesline by Tully takes down a Ranger Ross. Goes for the cover. Referee in position, counts 1, 2, and a kick out at 2 by Ranger Ross. And last week, it was Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson attacking Sting and Flair at the conclusion of the world title match between Sting and Lex Luger. Now, Ric Flair caused the disqualification for Sting as Ranger Ross almost had a 3 count on Tully Blanchard. It was Flair who used a chair on Lex Luger, getting Sting disqualified. And Ranger Ross setting up Tully Blanchard. What's he have in mind? A savant kick takes down Tully Blanchard. Goes for the cover. Referee counts 1. And a kick out at 1.5 by Tully Blanchard. Oh man. Ranger Ross nailed the savant kick, and he has put many a competitor away with that maneuver. Goes for the cover again. Referee counts 1, 2, and throw and kick out again by Tully. Blanchard may be looking forward to that May 18th match against Sting and Ric Flair. And again, he cannot take his attention away from Ranger Ross. It would be foolish to overlook the competitor that is Ranger Rowan. A big knee takes down Ross as he enters the ring again. And the woman very happy. And here comes Blanchard setting up Ranger Ross. Could it be the slingshot suplex and nails Ranger Ross? We are going to take a look at the replay here. But Tully Blanchard nailing Ranger Ross with a slingshot suplex. Goes for the cover. Referee counts 1, 2, 3. Your winner, Tully Blanchard. Ranger Ross had many opportunities in this contest, but he was unable to capitalize on that savant kick. Only got a 2 count. But a back and forth match nonetheless. And we are being informed that next week, here on World Championship Wrestling, that Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson will take on the Road Warriors in a bunkhouse stampede match. So, a bunkhouse match next week, as Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson will take on the Road Warriors. You will not want to miss that. And here are the highlights. Ranger Ross, I thought it was over right there, but Blanchard kicked out at the last second. And here's that savant kick, nearly taking off Tully's head, but Blanchard able to kick out at 1.5. And again, Ranger Ross with a great, impressive showing, but fell just short in this contest. Fans, our following match will be Rick Steiner taking on 1/2 of the World Tag Team Champions, Ron Simmons. And again, our big main event, Arn Anderson defends the TV title against the Great Muta. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. And welcome back to World Championship Wrestling as Rick Steiner with a beautiful dropkick on Ron Simmons, a one-on-one match. As Rick Steiner takes on Ron Simmons, it was back at Wrestle War 90 in February when Doom defeated Rick and Scott for the World Tag Team Championship. Just 2 weeks prior to that, it was Rick and Scott who unmasked Doom to reveal Butch Reed and Ron Simmons. So these two teams have been on a path of destruction over the last few months. And a big clothesline by Ron Simmons takes Rick Steiner down. Ron Simmons, the All-American of Florida State, had his jersey retired. And he is going to work on the back of Rick Steiner. Now has Steiner in a camel clutch. Steiner in trouble, adjusts his body and escapes the maneuver. And Steiner with a series of right hands takes down Simmons. And now stomps on the side of the head of the All-American. Doom will be defending the World Tag Team Championship on May 18th at Capital Combat as Rick Steiner goes for cover 1, 2, and a kick out of 2. They will be defending those World Tag Team Championships against the Rock and Roll Express. As Simmons throws Rick into the corner and a clothesline. Nails Rick hard. And an elbow drop miss by Ron Simmons, who does fire away with a series of right hands and a chop. And Rick Steiner is in trouble. Simmons throws Steiner hard into the turnbuckle, kick to the midsection, sets him up. And a power bomb down to the mat. Does not go for the cover, and Simmons maybe celebrating a bit premature. He is in control, but you should not give Rick Steiner the chance. A big clothesline nearly decapitates Steiner. Goes for the cover 1 and a kick out of 1 by Rick. And Simmons firing away, throws Steiner into the ropes. And a stalemate between these two men. And a beautiful drop kick from Rick Steiner off the missed punch by Ron Simmons. And now Rick going to work on Ron Simmons. As Simmons against the ropes. Clothesline by Steiner takes down Ron Simmons, and Teddy Long up on the apron distracting Rick Steiner, allowing Ron Simmons to get back to his feet. And a belly to belly by Rick, goes for the cover. Simmons is pinned, and no, a distraction again by Teddy Long. Teddy Long distracted the referee when Rick Steiner had the match won. Steiner staying on top, and the referee is throwing out Teddy Long as Ron Simmons has Steiner pinned 1, 2, and a kick out of 2. The referee has thrown out Teddy Long from this match, and a big power slam by Ron Simmons. And that might be it. Simmons goes for the cover, and that should be it. 2 and 3. No, a kick out at the last second by Rick Steiner. And now Simmons going back to work on Rick Steiner with a big elbow to the side of the head. But Steiner fights back, and a bridge suplex up and over goes Ron Simmons. And Rick Steiner can feel it here. He is making quite the comeback with a big clothesline. Another clothesline, down goes Simmons. Simmons going for a kick blocked by Rick, and Rick can feel it. The momentum shifted. And Steiner back in control, picks up Simmons on the shoulder, and it's slammed down to the mat. Steiner now in control, goes for the cover. Referee counts 1, 2, and 3. Now a kick out by Simmons. So both of these competitors exchanging near falls in this contest so far, as Rick Steiner setting up Ron Simmons for another belly-to-belly suplex. Goes for the cover. Referee counts out, but no. Simmons made it to the ropes. Steiner going for the cover again. 1, 2, and 3. No, again a kick out by Simmons. The foot of Ron Simmons making it to the rope, breaking up the pinfall, saved him from being pinned again, and Rick Steiner, showing his frustration, doesn't know what he has to do to put away Ron Simmons. Goes for the cover again. Referee counts 1, and a kick out at 1 this time, and Ron Simmons, showing some power, still has a lot left in his tank in this match. as Rick trying to howl to the crowd, looking for momentum. Shoves Ron Simmons back down to the mat, drops an elbow across the chest, and Simmons is in trouble. Another elbow by Steiner. But a back body drop by Ron Simmons, up and over goes Rick Steiner. Simmons throws Steiner hard into the turnbuckle, into a spine buster, and down goes Steiner. Simmons is going to win 1, 2, and 3. No, a kick out by Rick. A kick out by Rick, and I thought it was all over there. Ron Simmons with that spine buster, nearly breaking the back of Rick Steiner. And Simmons setting up Rick. He's lining him up, charges, and takes out his knee. Wow. Goes for the cover. 1, 2, and a kick out again by Rick, barely escaping this time. After that chop block by Ron Simmons, they didn't allow that at Florida State, unless he would have gotten penalized for it, setting up Steiner, and there's another spine buster, and down goes Rick Steiner. The second spine buster, this time slammed with authority. And if Rick kicks out of this, he's not going for the cover. Simmons is not going for the cover. Now he is. Hooks the leg. Referee counts 1, 2, and again a kick out by Rick Steiner. Steiner will not go away easily. Oh, and a beautiful maneuver by Ron Simmons on the second turnbuckle. And again, Ron Simmons, not known for his aerial prowess, but going to work on Rick Steiner, now working the neck with 2 great maneuvers, but Steiner fighting out, sweeps the leg, and down goes Simmons. And now Rick grabbing Simmons by the head, up against the ropes. A bear hug, and a suplex, up and over the top rope. Down to the floor goes Simmons. And the referee has begun to count. Steiner could have won this match by countout, but has gone out to the ring after Simmons, thrown him back in. He wants to pin Simmons. And misses with a clothesline. Oh man! I think Simmons was baiting him. He missed with a clothesline, and Simmons rolls up Steiner from behind. 2 and 3. And Ron Simmons, with a roll-up from behind, pins Rick Steiner here in this one-on-one matchup. A back-and-forth match. It really could have gone either way. And Rick Steiner hit that belly-to-belly suplex over the top rope. Simmons went to the floor. And when Rick Steiner went out to the floor to grab him and roll him back in to pin him, he missed a clothesline, allowing Simmons to roll up Steiner from behind. Our main event is next. The World TV title on the line as Arn Anderson defends against the Great Muta. Don't go away. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. And it's time for our main event as the Great Muta challenges Arn Anderson for the World Television title. It was back in January on the Power Hour when Arn Anderson defeated the Great Muta for the World TV title. And shortly thereafter, the Great Muta went back to Japan to clear his head. Well, we haven't seen him in the last 2 months, but he made his surprise return to World Championship Wrestling last week when he saved Sting from a 2-on-1 attack at the hands of Tully, Blanchard, and Arn Anderson. The fans wanted Ric Flair to save Sting that night, but Flair was not in attendance. The Great Muta was. And the Great Muta has inserted himself into this feud. making uneasy allies in the form of Sting and Ric Flair as they go against the original Horsemen. And a beautiful drop kick by Muta, but Arn Anderson grabs a leg and takes Muta over. And these two men know each other pretty well. Again, Arn Anderson won the TV title from the Great Muta. And this, 3 months later, is a rematch as Muta has a figure 4 leg lock locked in on Double A. Arn Anderson trying to escape and makes it to the ropes. But the damage may have been done as Muta working the leg of Arn Anderson, who throws Muta into the ropes. Up and over goes Muta. Up and over goes Muta again. A third time, and Muta says, that's enough, I'm going to drop kick your knee. And takes down Arn Anderson. Now Muta slowing down the pace, working the neck of Double A. With the Great Muta reinserting himself in World Championship Wrestling. He will be in action again. We noticed at the top of the program, the Wrestling News Network announced only Anderson will be taking on the Great Muta at Capital Combat on May 18th here on the Gotmark76 YouTube channel. And Arn Anderson will be in action as well. He will be teaming with Tully Blanchard as they take on Ric Flair and Sting for the rights to the Four Horsemen name. And the Great Muta now in control, working the leg, takes over Arn Anderson. And an elbow drop connects. Muta in control, lines him up and drops a knee across the throat. Goes for the cover. We have a new champion, one, and a kick out at one by Double A. Anderson in trouble as the Great Muta now working the leg, wrapping the leg of Arn Anderson against the bottom rope. That is steel cable wrapped in colored duct tape. So that was going to hurt, and Muta spraying the red mist. Between the green and the red mist is the most poisonous. And Anderson has Muta up, setting him up for a front suplex, and down goes the Great Muta. Arn Anderson now setting up Muta. Could it be the spine buster? And he walks right into it, a spine buster by Double A. Goes for the cover, he's gonna retain, 1, 2, and now a kick out by the Great Muta! The Great Muta kicked out! At the last second, the Great Muta escaped, and Anderson staying on top of the Great Muta. It was the spine buster that won Arn Anderson the TV title back in January, but this time, the Great Muta able to kick out at 2. Arn Anderson stomping away on the Great Muta, but Muta trying to fight back, kicks off Arn, nails an elbow drop. The Great Muta trying to come back, win the TV title that he lost back in January, throws Arn into the turnbuckle and down goes Arn. Muta now setting up Anderson into the turnbuckle. Muta runs, and the springboard elbow in the corner takes down Arn Anderson. Could we be seeing the moonsault? Muta working the arm of Arn Anderson, but Anderson powers his way out with a series of punches to the stomach. And a DDT by Muta! Anderson on the mat! Muta climbing the top rope! No, the second turnbuckle. I thought he was going all the way up top. He leaps, and misses a knee! Anderson moves out of the way! Anderson has Muta by the throat and slingshot off the ropes, and down goes Muta. A back and forth contest for the World Television title. We thank you for joining us here as Muta takes over Arn Anderson. Working the leg now, picks up Anderson. And they're exchanging blows. And Muta with a series of right hands, and Arn Anderson escapes the ring. And Anderson said, that's enough. Anderson said, that's enough. What's Arn doing? Is Arn's going back to the dressing room, but Muta following Arn into the entranceway with a big right hand. throws Arn Anderson into the ringside and rolls him back into the ring. Muta's not done yet. He's pointing it on the weight. Here comes Tully and Ollie. And the disqualification, the bell's rung. But the fans are booing. There's nobody here to save him. Sting and Flair are not here tonight. And it's a 3-on-1 attack. The original Horsemen taking out the Great Muta fans. We thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.